This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining the demo. So, who all are joined in the yesterday's class? Everyone joined in the yesterday's class, or today is the first class for anyone? Please let me know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
joined
today is
as
the
a
first
today.
class. No, sir, I'm joined
Today,
right now, sir. Today is my first
Today.
class.
okay.
Yeah,
Most
today
of the
is my
people
first
are
class.
joined today. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll start that again. Why? Because yesterday I have started this demo session. So today I'll restart again. Why? Because most of the people are newly joined today. We are going to start today our first Azure Data Engineering class. That is nothing but the demo. So, first of all, we are trying to learn Azure Data Engineering. So, here there are different kinds of roles are there in the Azure, and also it is one of the cloud technology. So, what is the difference between on-premises to the cloud, and why everyone is migrating to cloud these days, and why these technologies are most popular like AWS, Azure, and GCP? Why these are more popular these days? Okay, and whenever we are learning this Azure Data Engineering, what kind of roles we are getting, and what is the kind of work we are getting, and what services we need to learn exactly to complete this Azure Data Engineering. So we'll see all these things today. First of all, there are three cloud vendors, right? So if anyone having any questions in between also, you can stop me and you can ask. Okay, there are three cloud vendors. Not only three cloud vendors, there are a number of other cloud vendors are there, but currently these three cloud vendors are competing with each other in the market. One is Microsoft, second one is Amazon, and third one is Google, right? So Microsoft is providing some cloud services with the name of Microsoft Azure. Okay, and Amazon is also providing some kind of cloud services, right? Some kind of cloud services with the name of AWS. AWS nothing but Amazon Web Services, right? And Google is also providing some kind of cloud services with the name of GCP. GCP means Google Cloud Provider. See, they are providing some cloud services. Okay, so currently these are the three vendors which they are competing with each other in the market, and most of the percent, like I can say 60% of the clients, they are using Microsoft Azure in our market, and 30% they are using Amazon, and 10% only they are using Google. And because of this, we are having a number of openings in our Microsoft Azure Data Engineer. If you are placing your resume also, you are getting around 5 to 6 calls a day. Okay, so now these are the cloud vendors available in the market. Now what are the cloud services they are providing, right? We are talking about they are providing some cloud services, right? What is meant by these cloud services, and what is the benefit of that cloud services means? There are three types of cloud services are there. One is IaaS, infrastructure as a service, one is PaaS, platform as a service, and third one is SaaS, means software as a service. This is what infrastructure as a service, infrastructure as a service, and the next one is platform as a service, and next one is software as a service. So one of the question they might ask you, what are the cloud services you are aware? Okay, see, these are the three cloud services aware. We are aware, like these three cloud services are same across all the cloud vendors. These are the cloud vendors, right? So if you are choosing Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services or GCP, In these three cloud vendors, the services across all the cloud vendors are same. If you are learning any technology, the cloud services which they are providing is same. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. So, right, these are the cloud services which we are having. And in the Azure, whenever you are learning Azure, there are two kinds of roles will be there. There are two roles, job roles will be there too. One is Azure data engineer role. One is Azure data engineer role. Second one is Azure DevOps engineer role. Clear? These are the two roles we may get. Okay. If you are learning this Azure data engineering, you can become a developer. And if you are learning this Azure DevOps engineer, you can become an admin. Okay, these are the two roles. We need to choose which one is best fit for us. Okay. And I can say guaranteely around I can say 80% of the calls on top of Azure data engineering and 20% of the calls on top of Azure DevOps engineer. Okay, we are trying to learn here Azure data engineering and we choose the role as Azure data engineering role. As a developer, we want to go into the organizations, right? So if you are trying to learn this Azure data engineering, what kind of services you need to learn? Because Microsoft is providing around 200 plus services. Microsoft Azure is providing around 200 plus services they are providing. Which services are useful and which services we are using most, that we need to talk about. Okay, in the Azure data engineering role, you need to learn mainly in the Azure data engineering, you need to learn mainly two things, right? Only two things you need to learn. One is storage accounts, because most of the times if you see in the Azure related to Azure, if you search any YouTube videos, okay, or if you go for any Udemy courses and all, okay, they'll confuse you, like, because whenever we are seeing the YouTube videos, we don't know where is the starting and where is ending. Okay, first of all you need to know, first of all, what we need to learn in the Azure data engineering. If you are starting, what is the main thing first we need to start, and next we need to go for the advanced topics, like that. The first main basic you need to learn when you're starting this Azure data engineering course, you need to learn about storage accounts. Okay, so I'm Microsoft Azure data engineering mainly to do the two process. One is to store the data, as well as to the data. Okay, to store the data where? To store the data inside the cloud, and to process the data inside the cloud. Okay, and to store the data we need to talk about the storage accounts, right? And to process the data we need to talk about the ETL process. Okay, these are the storage accounts which we are having. Some kind of storage accounts which we are discussing in our class is blob storages. Okay, blob storages, or we can call it as containers. Second one is ADLS, nothing but Azure data. These all are very simple. I'll show you each and every storage account how to create and what are the interview point of questions you may get on top of the storage accounts, and how to store the data. With very basic level, we'll start our training related to our Azure, and we'll talk about Azure SQL databases, and we'll talk about Azure Synapse data warehouse. So these are the storage account you need to concentrate on mainly. Mainly on top of the storage account, around if there is a chance to ask 10 questions, most of the 10 questions will be covering in these classes, because we are concentrating on each pin to pin how to create the storage account, what are the questions we may get will complete. Okay, the second thing, by making use of this Azure data engineering course, we can do the processing of the data also, right? To process the data, right, to process the data means nothing but the ETL process. We are mainly using ADF and ADB. These are the two ETL services or ELT services which we are having in the Microsoft Azure. Okay, ADF is very popular these days. The ADF meaning is Azure Data Factory. right? Azure Data Factory, and ADB means Azure Data Mix. Okay, so to process the data, we are using ADF and ADB. So this is the main content. Like whenever you are starting your career as Azure Data Engineering, you need to learn about how many ways we can store the data inside the cloud, okay, and how many ways we can process the data inside the cloud. If you are familiar with these topics, then I can say guaranteedly you can put 6 to 7 years of experience and you can go for the interviews, because most of the questions they'll ask you on top of this only. Other than this, this is the main part we are learning in the Azure Data Engineering. And apart from this, in my class I'll be teaching some advanced concepts, like in this class, advanced topics: Azure Cosmos DB. What is Azure Cosmos DB? It is kind of a NoSQL DB. Definitely interview point of view, they might definitely ask you this question. These are some kind of advanced topics. And the streaming data. Streaming data means what? Streaming data means continuously the data is flowing, nothing but the live data. How to handle this live data also, how to handle streaming data also, will be covering in my class by making use of IoT devices. Okay, these are all the services which I'll be covering. Apart from this, I'll talk about this Azure DevOps concepts also. DevOps concept, that is very important concept, that is nothing but the CI/CD methodology, nothing but continuous integration and continuous deployment. These all are related to Azure DevOps concepts, but this also I'll be covering in our class. CI/CD nothing but it is used to do the deployment purpose. Okay, what is the deployment purpose means? Suppose in any organization, right? In any organization where we are developing our code, we are developing our code. Okay, we are developing our code in the dev environment, right? Suppose assume this is the dev environment, dev environment. So whenever we develop the code in dev environment, once the development has been done, the next phase is what? The testing phase, right? So the testing phase is, that is a different environment. Assume this is a testing environment and we are calling it as a QA also. So once the development has been done, you need to move this code from development to testing. So this is the process of deploying. We are calling it as deploying from one environment to another environment by making use of CI/CD, Azure DevOps, Git repository. Okay, by making use of Azure DevOps and Git repository, we are moving the code from development environment to testing environment. And again, we are moving this code from testing environment to UAT environment, and from UAT environment to pre-prod environment, and the pre-prod environment to prod environment. Okay, there are these kind of environments are we used to see in the real time: pre-production environment, and this one is production environment. Okay, I just want to let you know the real time naming conventions, that's it. Okay, there are these kind of environments. Yesterday one of the interviewer, they have asked this question, uh, like how many environments are there in your project, current project, and how you're deploying the code into which environments means. First of all, we are developing the code in the dev environment. Once the development has been done, we are sending this code into the testing environment by making use of Azure DevOps Git repository, which is nothing but CI/CD methodologies. From UAT to, sorry, from testing to UAT environment. UAT nothing but user acceptance test. From UAT to pre-production environment. From pre-production environment to production environment. This is how we are deploying the code from one environment to another environment. It is nothing but the CI/CD, and it is a responsibility of Azure DevOps engineers, not as a responsibility of Azure Data Engineer. This is also I'll cover in our class Azure DevOps Engineering with the real-time scenarios, like how to create the feature branches, main branch, and how to merge the code. These all things we'll talk about. Okay, these all things we'll talk about in the CI/CD deployment. Clear? Any doubts till now? And if you want, resume I'll provide you some sample resume and I'll guide you how to do this resume preparation. And most of my classes are on top of real-time basis. Okay, theory part as well as real-time concepts by showing you how to do, how to create the services, how to load the data, how to ingest the data. These all things will be covering. And in the Azure Data Factory will be most of the concentration we are doing on Azure Data Factory. In the Azure Data Factory, we'll be doing mainly two things: to ingest the data, nothing but we need to copy the data and we need to transform the data. That is, we'll see later. First of all, these are the things which we are trying to cover. So, any doubts, anyone till now?
Sir, SQL was telling, sir, in this topics SQL.
See, yeah, thanks for asking. See, to learn this Azure data engineering, there is only one prerequisite. Prerequisite means whenever you are trying to learn anything, is there anything that you need to learn before? For this means just you need to have some knowledge on SQL, that is mandatory. Knowledge on SQL, that is mandatory. Mandatory. So without knowledge on SQL, it is a little difficult. Okay, but no need of some advanced topics. Some basic of SQL also will be good. Okay. But in our class, we are not teaching that because the subject it is we are handling it is vast.
Any
Yeah, just tell me.
so we need any Python knowledge?
Yeah, I'll come to that. So till now clear, right, everyone? So
Yes, yes,
prerequisite
sir.
is a knowledge on SQL is a mandate. So if you are very good at SQL, it will be a very advantage for you. And if you are basic knowledge also, you can learn this uh, Azure data engineering. And if you are not at all, if you don't know about SQL, then it is better to learn SQL. Okay. And coming to this Python knowledge, okay. So there is no coding at all in the Azure Data Factory, right? It is kind of a drag and drop tool, I can say. Okay, it is kind of a drag and drop tool where we can do the ETL process very easily. Like previously, we used to do the ETL process through Informatica or Oracle Data Integrator or Data Stage, right? So it is a little difficult by creating the mappings and all. But Azure Data Factory, it is very easy to use interface where we can drag and drop the survey, where we can drag and drop the activities and we can perform. But coming to this Azure Data Breaks, it is kind of a it is kind of like it is also used to do the ETL or ELT process, but we'll talk about the differences between ADF and ADB later. If I talk about that, you will not understand. So Azure Databricks, whenever you are learning, okay, in the Azure Databricks, mainly the Azure Data Factory, we are trying to create pipelines, and Azure Databricks, we are trying to create notebooks. This is the terminology. Okay, what we are trying to create in the ADF pipelines, what we are trying to create in the ADB notebooks, right? So here in the Azure Databricks, there is one option that is nothing but the we can write some programmability also, like by making use of this programmability options also. They are providing nothing but they are giving you can write Scala or Python, R language, or SQL language. Okay, these are the three languages I'm considering it as a programming languages, right? These are the programming languages, but SQL is not a program language. It is a command oriented language. So whenever you are creating the Azure Databricks notebooks, you need to write any of this code. You need to choose any of this language, any of one language you need to choose, either Scala, either Python, either R, or either SQL. And if you are not good at programming languages, then if you are having some knowledge on SQL, then whatever we are trying to achieve from the Scala, Python, or you can achieve 100% with the SQL also. No need to learn this Python. But if you are having some basic knowledge on Python, that is a added advantage for you. Why? Because whenever we are going for the interviews, definitely they might ask you some questions like, do you aware of Python, like PySpark and all? So in that time you can tell them like, I'm not aware of Python because Currently in my project we are using SQL, Spark SQL. In my current project we are not at all using Python, Scala, or we are using SQL only.
So this
Clear?
ADP also is this ADP also it's an like ETL tool, right?
Yes, yes, sir. It is not a tool. It is one kind of a service, because whenever you are calling tools means, see, that is the difference between on-premises and cloud. See, here in the cloud we are not installing any softwares. Just tools means what? You need to download it and you need to install it and you need to work on top of it. But whereas these services inside the cloud, we are not installing anything. Just we are utilizing that service. It is also a
Okay.
ETL or ELT process.
But by by using both we can do that ETL process, right?
Same,
Using
exactly, yes.
ADP. Okay. Okay.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I'll just give you one difference so that you can understand why we need to use two things means. See, I told you, right, there are ADF and ADME. ADF is kind of a drag and drop tool. I told you, right, it is kind of a drag and drop tool, and it is, we can write programs here. Okay, so why we are using these
Okay.
two means, see, having its own advantages and own disadvantages. ADF is whenever we are trying to ingest the data, most times ingesting means what? Copying the data, right? From source system to target system, from outside to inside the cloud. In that most cases we are using ADF. And if you want to do some transformations also, we can do. Okay, but whereas in the ADB, if you want to achieve some complex requirements, okay, if you want to achieve some complex requirements, ADB is the best fit. Why? Because ADB is having the capability of programmability. So by making use of these programs, we can achieve complex requirements. And also compared to this ADF, ADB is very fast. ADB is very fast. Why? Because it is running in Spark engine. Okay, is running in Spark engine. That is the reason ADB is most like performance wise, it is more fast than ADF. But why we need to learn main ADF means, see, most of the project these days are, we have, whenever we have started this cloud 3 to 4 years, sorry, 4 to 5 years back, all the projects are built on top of this ADF. And recently everyone is learning this ADB as well. This is a little complex than ADF, but because you need to learn any one of the programming language, or if you are having basic knowledge, or if you are having very advanced knowledge in SQL, you can survive in the ADB also. Okay, whatever you required to complete this, to create this notebooks in the ADB, I'll teach you that. Don't worry. Like I will explain this Spark engine as well, how it will work in the back end. Everything we'll be discussing in our classes.
So
If we are
in
not from
ADP,
a computer science background, then also we can learn this course and then go for the interview.
Yeah, sorry, can you just come again, please?
Yep, like we are not from the computer science background, maybe
Mhm.
from other courses like financial,
Yes.
HR and marketing. So can we
Mhm.
learn this course and crack the interview and go for the job?
Definitely, definitely can go. Any degree we can use. Why? Because
Okay.
in the interview, most of the times they'll ask you, first of all, technical part I'll complete. See, whenever you are learning any technology and you are going for any other interviews, first of all, you need to know the starting and end. And in between, you need to learn all the concepts. Once you are familiar with all the concepts, I can say guaranteely, after listening all my classes, you can easily crack the interview, because most of my students, they came from a BCom background and a medical background and mechanical civil backgrounds. They got jobs, and 2 to 3 offers also they got. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so that is one thing.
Okay.
After listening these classes, you can, because each and every day on top of that particular concept, I have been discussing all the questions related to the topic, so you can easily crack the interview. And one more thing, the degree, whenever you are going for any other degree and if you are attending for the interview, just we need to be very confident enough why you came to this software. As you are a medical background means, see, there in the medical background currently we don't have that much opportunities that time. And whenever I joined, whenever I came to this BCom background or something, at that time no one is there to guide me, so that is the reason I have taken BCom that time. But I was very much interested in the software skills, and that time I used to learn C, C++, SQL. So it is helpful for me. So that's the reason from past 4 years I'm working in software industry. Like that, we need to convince them.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that I'll
Thanks
let you
for
know
that.
in the classes.
Okay.
Not
Sure.
only, yeah, not only this technically, and how to crack the interview, what are the technical skills you need for that, how to perform in the interviews, everything I'll discuss. And after end of the classes, I'll provide you one paper, introduction paper, that is will start from your name till your project explanation. Easily you can explain 15 minutes, that much I can guarantee.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So
Also I told
in
you, right,
AD,
yeah, these are the interview questions, like each and every, because these are the running batches. Each and every interview point of view, I'll write one questions on top of all the, till six classes are happened. So on top of the six classes, these many questions we got.
Mm.
Yes, someone is asking the question.
It is Azure DevOps is also required for to crack the interview as a ADF, sorry, a data engineer.
No, not at all required. But if you are, you need to know. Definitely, see, in the interview means we don't know the mindset of interviews, right? If you are going for the Azure data engineering interview, also they might ask you what is Hadoop. Do you have any idea on Hadoop? What is HDFS? What is data modeling? What is the CI/CD methodologies? Definitely, the interviewer means they won't stick to some specific topics. So that is the reason, whenever you are going for the interview, it is better to learn Azure DevOps. One of the concept, that is nothing but the CI/CD. Mostly they will ask you questions on top of the CI/CD. That is the reason I'm covering the CI/CD as well.
Okay, and visualization tool also is required to
Not
for
at
the
all
ADF.
required. Not at all required. I'll just show you one example on top of this. See what exactly we are doing by making use of this cloud, and we are having some client data, right? We are having some client data, and they want to migrate this data. It is in the on premises, assume. In the on premises means some local machines. So if the data is in on premises means, what is the disadvantage? See, whenever you have installed any software in your local machine, that software will work on top of your computer configuration. Like if you are using 2 GB RAM, it will work on 2 GB only. If you are having 250 GB hard disk, it will store up to 250 GB only. Based on that computer configuration, based on the server configuration, it will slow down or increase. But whenever you are doing that same thing in the cloud, then there will be, cloud will provide the entire configuration, like high-end configuration, high-end servers they'll maintain. So that's the reason the process will be very fast. So that is the reason most of the clients, they are migrating from on premises to, this is what, cloud. Okay, and what exactly they are doing? First of all, they are loading their data from outside to inside the cloud, from on premises to the inside the cloud, and they are storing in some place that we are calling it as storage accounts. Okay, what we are calling it as storage accounts. Once the data is available inside the cloud in some storage accounts, that's what I'm telling. The first concept you need to understand in the Azure data engineering class is what? How to store the data inside the cloud. First, we need to get the data inside the cloud. These many storage accounts are there, we'll discuss. Once the data is available inside the cloud, then we need to process the data by making use of what? ADF and ADB.
How long this course will be to complete?
It will take around 40 days.
Okay, and
so
now I am hearing the calls on the ADF is also very less compared to other than so, and everything recession is also going on, right?
Yeah,
So that will if, impact on me to get the job.
I'll, I'll answer that question. Okay, yeah, yeah, it is what we are doing. Once the data is available in the storage accounts, we store the data inside the cloud. Then we can do the ETL process, extraction, transformation, and we can load the data into the finalized warehouse by making use of what? ADF and ADB. We are doing the extractions transformations and loading, nothing but the ETL process. Once the data has been transformed into a single format, then what we are doing, we are loading the data into the Azure Synapse warehouse. House. And these are what Azure storage accounts. This is Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. Once the data is available inside the in the once the data has been transformed and loaded into the Azure Synapse warehouse, then reporting developers will come into picture. Nothing but the whatever the question someone is asking, visualization tools. Do we need to learn any visualization tool? Visualization tools means nothing but the reporting tool, right? And they will take the data from here and they will create some business analysis reports. Okay, so the question here is, do we need to learn any visualization tool also as part of this Azure data engineering? Means not at all required. Okay, why? Because as a Azure data engineering, if you are starting your career, your responsibility is till to get the data from the cloud. Okay, to get the data from the on premises and load into the storage accounts, and to do the ETL process, extraction, transformations you need to do. Once they transform the data, then you need to load into the centralized warehouse. Till here only Azure data engineering guy responsibility. Okay, from here onwards, this is the responsibility of reporting developers who all are familiar with the technologies like Power BI. Okay, they can come into picture, they can take the data and they can do the reporting. This is not at all required as part of Azure data engineering. But as I told you, if you are having some knowledge on this reporting tool, how it will work, it will be advantage for you. That's it. But it is not at all required. If anyone is asking, whenever you are going for the interview, do you have any idea on visualization tools, means you can say, I don't have any knowledge on visualization tools. No one will bother about that. And someone is asking the question, ADF is also getting very less calls and there is some recession is going on. Yes, that is true. The recession is going on, but there is no less calls on ADF. Why? Because there are n number of calls on the ADF. But compared to previously we used to get around 20 to 25 calls in a day. Most of my students got 20 to 25 calls. Okay, but these days we are getting around 5 to 6 calls. That's it, because of the recession. But no other technologies are getting these many calls. Only our Azure data engineering, only we are getting calls these days. That is for sure.
So
So,
now, so
what is a
we have
snowflake? Actually, people are along with ADF, snowflake knowledge also they're
Not
giving
required.
in. That's why.
No, no, not required. See, that is in the, you are talking about institutions, outside organized institutions, or what? Or who is providing the Snowflake?
Institutions only. Some institutions
Institutions only,
giving.
right? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
that is their the business strategy, because they will take very less amount of Snowflake and they provide some classes on top of this, so that the student mindset is, whenever they are getting huge amount of packages, they'll teach SQL, they'll teach Snowflakes, they'll teach ADF and ADB. The first preference the students will provide, go to their place, right? That is some kind of business strategies. But I clearly recommend, there is not at all required this reporting knowledge as well as Snowflake's knowledge and all. To learn this ADB, Azure Data Engineering perfectly, you need to have only prerequisite is SQL. That's it.
okay. So, what
Yeah.
exactly is snowflake?
See,
Exactly.
that is also some kind of a databases. Okay, but that is not at all required. If you did you got anything like this? See, this is the entire picture you are doing in the projects in the backend. Okay, so did you got anything, any related to any Snowflakes and all here? No, right? And you need to have some basic knowledge on Python. That is a advantage generally, but that is also not required.
Okay. So, what is that the all the services in Azure only?
Yes, yes, these all are all services. That's the reason most of our clients they are using Azure. Why? Because we are not integrating any third-party tools here. All the services which we are using Microsoft products only. Even the reporting tool also. Generally, most of the times we'll be using Power BI. Power BI is a reporting tool of Microsoft.
Okay, you are also discussing that Azure DevOps also.
Yeah, that's what Azure DevOps. Coming to this Azure DevOps, the concept you need to understand and you need to learn as part of the interview purpose and for the working purpose is CI/CD, like Azure DevOps Git repositories. I'm discussing about this. See, most of the institutions, I can guarantee, they won't touch this concept at all. Why? Because people are working as a real time. People are working currently in the real time. They can only explain about these concepts.
Okay.
See, theoretically, anyone can explain, right? By seeing the
Yeah, theoretically
documentation.
everywhere is theoretical. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, theoretically anyone can explain, but the process needs to you needs to understand the process and what are the definitely they'll ask you what are the documents you have worked till now. We need to that is terminology also I'll provide you like technical design documents, functional design documents, and how we'll get the requirement.
Hmm.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Along with this Azure services,
Like
so is that
from
the basic like instance creation? All these things are required or not for Azure related? Like I
Yes,
think
yes.
the
See,
fundamental knowledge of Azure is required, or you are explaining that also?
yes. Fundamentals from the basics will start right. How to create the free account, how to create the Microsoft free account. From that, our classes will start. Okay, the basic from the basic concepts itself, not real. See, if I want to complete the classes very soon, and if I want to start from the middle, I can start from here itself, Azure Data Factory. Okay, but we are starting from the all kinds of storage accounts. First of all, how to create the storage account, that is also concepts of Azure DevOps only. Okay, to store the data we are doing, but to create these accounts they are doing. That is also we are covering how to create these accounts, how to store the data, how to create this ADLS, how to store that, what is the difference between these two, and why we need to create Azure SQL database again, and what is the Azure Synapse data warehouse, how to create this, how to store the data, what is the differences, why we need to use this, what kind of data we can store, each and everything will be covering. Okay. Someone is
and
asking
one
other question.
more thing, for the entire 30 days of course duration, can you explain all real-time scenarios with this along with the course?
Yes, real-time scenarios will be explaining only because whenever we are starting our classes like ADF storage accounts be creating, right? Those all are real-time only. Just I've been doing in the practical only in the classes. Like after explaining theoretical end to end why we are using what is the process of it, completing of interview questions everything. Then I'll start the practical on top of it and I'll show you in the class itself where to go, how to create, how to process the data, everything.
Okay. And yeah, one more thing, can we go as a developer administration role also in this Azure?
Uh, Not exactly. By making use of this course, he can go as a developer. That is strongly I recommend. Why? Because DevOps engineer role means, see, uh, we are not learning 100%, right? Whenever you are going as any an organization particular role, you need to learn 100%. As Azure data engineering here, we are learning 100%, not Azure DevOps engineer. DevOps engineer, we are learning around 30%, and these are some kind of Kubernetes, Docker, some advanced topics will be there. You need to learn. This is entirely different course. I can say, but what we are using as part of our Azure data engineering and as part of DevOps engineer, what they are doing, that also I'll discuss in our class, like CI/CDs, how to create this process, how to create the storage accounts. These all are things we'll be discussing. How to provide the security, everything we'll be discussing.
So you said that the we can use this Azure data services into the transforming the data also like IoT and all. So we
Yes,
can
yes.
efficiently use these cloud services in the IoT.
Yes, we can use. Most of the times they are using cloud services only. IoTs. IoT is nothing but what? See, whatever your smartwatch is there. See, every time
Hmm.
it is showing you how much water you need to drink, how much steps you are running these days. These all are IoT devices only. How they are capturing the data from the data where it is storing. each and every have there are 2 to 3 devices where the data has been stored in the cloud itself. Whenever you require, after 1 year also, if you want to see your chat in the last year, how much of weight I'm putting and how much of calories I've burned, everything will be there, right? So everything will be in the cloud, and it is IoT devices, event hubs, and streaming data. Everything we are interacting with the cloud itself.
And one
Okay.
more thing, suppose actually I'm the Java developer. I'm
Okay.
Java developer. So,
Okay.
but in actually I'm working in company, and they are saying that you should for the next project you require some yeah, Azure knowledge as well as
Mm-hmm.
like that. So they are asking that Azure related only.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So how much it is relevant to me, and actually because now I have not given a overall idea of the future project, but Azure knowledge is must. Then
Yeah,
how
then
be
in
help?
that case, yeah, then in that case it will be very helpful for you. Why? Because they know already about you, like you are a Java expertise, right? But they are trying to ask you to learn this Azure. See,
Yeah.
after completion of these classes, definitely I can guarantee you can teach them what is Azure,
Okay.
what are the services, how to do the process, what is the process. Definitely you can teach them. That's what I can say.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's the main
Hello,
question
sir.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It will be good for you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello. Sir, I don't
Yes,
have
yes.
any bit of knowledge about SQL, sir. It is how can I refer and learn all these things about SQL bit about these classes? I don't have any bit of knowledge about SQL, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So how can I refer the SQL, sir? Can you give me any tip about that?
Definitely. In my classes, I'll share you how to learn the SQL, the documentation I'll provide, and some of the videos I'll suggest.
Okay,
If you
sir.
are not interested to learn anywhere outside, that is uh, that
Okay,
is
sir.
enough for you. But you need to
Sir,
put
these
some
are all
core
the topics
concepts
that.
you need to complete.
Okay, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
these concepts that you are telling me that from starting to till now, these are the topics in future that you are discussing about, sir.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
About Azure.
Yes, about Azure. We'll be starting
Hmm.
our classes, right? Main classes maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So from that,
Okay, sir.
again, it will start from the scratch. Like because I'll teach my classes, you can take the feedback of previous students as well. I'll start from the classes like they don't know anything, because most of the students have seen like chemical background, mechanical, civil backgrounds. So
Yes.
they don't know about any software also. So I'll
Yes,
consider
sir.
those kind of mindset and start my classes.
Yes,
You
yes,
can
sir.
learn
Yes, sir.
easily
My
in
query is
Azure.
about that. Yes, sir. My query is about that to learn SQL. So how can I learn?
I'll
Yes,
I'll
sir. About
I'll
that, sir.
send you some documentations, okay, and I'll
Okay, sir.
suggest you some videos so that you can learn
Okay,
SQL.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
But you need to put some extra efforts. That is for sure.
Okay, sir. Only SQL is only mandatory, na, sir?
Mandatory. Yes, exactly.
So
Yes.
what
Okay,
level
sir.
of
Python that all.
what level
Sorry.
like
Python is.
Python is not required, but
Yes, sir.
just some basic knowledge is enough. See what is Python, what are the data types in
Okay, sir.
Python. Anything we can get it from the Google also, right? Like what is
Okay,
basic
sir.
knowledge of Python. Any one video if
Okay,
you
sir.
see also, you'll get some idea.
Okay, sir.
okay, in what level of
Thank you.
SQL SQL I know, but I not used it actually, not that much. But whenever the queries are required, then I'll try to see in the while online, and I'll check. I'll try to write. That's it. Is that
That is
enough?
enough. That is enough. That is enough. But that is enough. But I'll suggest whenever you'll get a free time, try to learn this SQL as a expertise. That will be because without SQL there is no projects also, right? Some basic knowledge should be enough. But if you are advanced at SQL, then you can guide others also in the project. If they're stuck in anywhere, you can easily solve that issues. If you are very good at SQL, that's it.
Okay. So So in we are so any like any local workbench are required while working in the cloud.
No, nothing. Just you need to have one laptop and some proper internet connection, and you need to get one free account that I'll show you in the tomorrow's class or day after tomorrow's class maybe. How to create a free account. That is the our first class. You need to
No,
get
no,
the
no.
access.
No, generally, if I work with AWS, in suppose some MySQL database in AWS, suppose
Mm-hmm.
I use,
Okay.
okay. In the
Okay.
internal workbench is some my suppose let us say I'm using MySQL. So
Mm-hmm.
MySQL in the AWS. So I need to install in a local system some MySQL workbench, right? Like
Oh, that's what you're
so.
asking. The database which we are using in the on-premises. Yes, here also in our classes, I'll teach you how to install Microsoft SQL Server. We are using the database, which is a product of again
Okay.
Microsoft. SQL Server, how to install and how to pull the data from there to our cloud. I'll show you. That is also one of the class SQL Server installation.
Okay. Any virtual box you required?
Not at all required.
Not at all
Okay,
required.
not at all required.
Material
Yes.
providing, sir. Any material providing?
No material providing, but I'll be providing some PDFs to you. That is my own class PDFs where the running notes of my class that I'll provide, and whatever the notepads I'm writing will be sharing in the WhatsApp group. These are the things we can provide. The PDFs itself around 64 to some pages. That is enough for you, I guess. Running notes, free account,
And oh, what is
PhD.
the course fee? Can I actually I
Sorry,
don't know exactly course fees?
course fees. You can talk to front end team. You can please
But
interact with
actually, yeah. Actually, I came to Amirpet actually 3 weeks back, 3 to 4 weeks back. I came. Last month
them.
I came actually, but at the
Okay.
time, but they not written anything course fee related, but they given only the brochure. That's it. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just yeah, that is my request. Just to go back to that means you can call to them front end team and
yeah,
ask
I'll
them
call to them. Yeah.
how to register
Okay.
and all. Okay, please ask that
Okay.
questions
Okay.
to them. Yeah, we'll be covering free account
So,
creation. My
are you in that office or in outside? Like, suppose if you
oh
have
no no
any questions, if I come to Saturday, I'll to discuss something
yes,
like
I'll let you know because these days I'm 1 week or 2 weeks I'll be taking online only because of my office work. So after that, definitely I'll let you know when I'll be available in the offline so that you can come and meet me.
Yeah, am
okay.
I audible?
Yes, yes.
Can we get the recording videos of these classes?
Yes, yes, you will get it.
And one more thing you said, right, SQL knowledge is required. What about TSQL, like any cursors concept
TScale
or
is
databases?
yeah, TScale is nothing but the advanced only, right? Like that's what I'm telling. Basic is enough, but if you are familiar with the TScale also, that is a advantage for you. But that is cursors and all we are not using in the our
Yeah.
ADF generally. Most of the times we are not using. We are just using how the performance tuning mechanisms like indexes, views, creation, joins, and constraints. These are the things. If you are, that is a basic scale only, right? That is enough. And if you are good at T-SQL, that is an advantage for you.
So is there any stored processes required?
Yes, yes. Stored procedure is also required.
Okay,
Stored procedure, if you know how to create the stored procedure, that is a good for you. Yeah.
okay, okay. With parameters and all right. So
Yes,
that knowledge
yes,
is sufficient. Okay.
yes. Yeah, required.
So from on-premise, so we are loading into cloud, right? So
Yes.
into storage accounts.
Mm-hmm.
In this process, is there any ADF or any ETL process will do, or directly we
Yeah,
can
of
load
course.
into that?
Of course, we are using ADF only. Like to do this process, we are extracting the data by making use of ADF pipelines only.
Okay. So after
Through
that,
ADF
into
pipelines
warehousing
only.
also, yeah. So
Yes,
from after that, from cloud to this data warehouse also, we are using ADF or IADB, right?
ADF only. See, ADF or
Okay.
ADB only. Yes. To
Okay.
get the data, to ingest the data from on-premises to cloud, we are using ADF, and inside the cloud, here to here also, we are using ADF only.
So from source itself, we are loading into staging. From staging to into target like warehouse, right? This is the
Yes,
process.
exactly. Correct.
Okay. So this
This
Spark
class
SQL
is like sharp 8 to 9, 8 to 9, right?
Yeah, that is not yet confirmed. We'll let you know. Most of the times 8 to 9 or 9 to 10, we'll let you know the timings, proper timings. After the batch has been confirmed, we'll let you know.
And one more thing, sir,
Because,
I have knowledge
Online,
on
online.
SQL. So in that
okay,
one, I have observed that there is a little logical thinking required in that one instead of memory. So how it will be in the ADF? Is it memory related or logical related?
see, that is, we cannot describe in that manner. See, ADF is mainly, you can consider it as a ETL process, right? So what we can do on top of this ETL, mainly extracting, transforming, and loading. And the main things, the Azure Data Factory in our classes will be discussing how to ingest the data, like how to copy the data from different source systems, either it is a on-premises or cloud, and how to transform the data once the data is available inside the cloud. These are the two main things we can consider. Like it is not like logical or something like that. We cannot describe in that manner. How to ingest the data, nothing but copy the data, and once the data has been copied, how to transform the data in a single format. These are the two main things ADF will be doing.
copying in the
Okay,
sense extracting, right? Copying in the sense
copying in the
from
sense, yeah, extracting we can say, or ingesting
data.
we can say, anything.
Okay. Okay.
Like extracting from different source systems
Source. Okay.
and
Yeah.
ingesting into the inside the cloud.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that's all for today's class, guys. I have another class has been started. Okay, we'll meet in the next class. Please register yourself into the front end team. Okay, thank you all, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you all.